Former Deputy Pitman, thank you for agreeing to the interview. And it's all, we want to do this interview concerning you're going to be making a return to blogging after, I don't know how long is it, 5 years?
5 years, yeah. Doesn't seem possible, but it is.
And so what's spurred you on to come back blogging and indeed in the public eye? You've had no real online presence for all this time. Why blogging and why now?
Oh, well, I still follow what goes on in Jersey. People still get in touch with me. The blogs such as yourself are still the only reliable source of information on places like Jersey. And blogs seem to be pretty thin on the ground. I mean, lots of people have asked me to come back, so the time maybe now is right. Spent quite a lot of time travelling and living in France, in the UK at present. So yeah,
Right, so
we should give it a shot and see how it goes.
And so, what sort of stuff will the blog cover? Will it just be like just you're going to be blogging on Jersey predominantly, or anything else?
No, I mean, as you're well aware, I mean, I've got a strong interest in what's going on in the UK politically. Even more so now that I'm actually living here at the moment, and internationally. So Jersey will feature large in it, but it won't just be about Jersey. It'll be about the UK and any international developments I see fit to talk about. It's my blog, and if people want to read it, that'd be great. And if they don't, they'll make that decision, won't they?
Yeah, because I mean, lots has happened since you've been away. 5 years is far too much to go. But I suppose the biggest sort of thing is like the care inquiry has made its report. It's just about to hopefully make a second report. You got any thoughts on that? And will you be blogging on this sort of stuff?
Oh, very definitely. I mean, how can you not blog on that? It's been so central to what so many of us, yourself included, fought for over the years. And I have to say, I think what we've got so far as an outcome is very disappointing. I mean, I think a lot of people feel very let down. I mean, I still do keep in touch with people who have been victims. A lot of people do feel let down.
By the care inquiry's report.
Yes, I think it didn't go, they didn't take that final step for me. I mean, there's people we know who should be held to account, and those people haven't been held to account. It's really, to me, it's pretty much as, lessons have been learned, we have to move on. But that isn't good enough, is it?
Yeah, well, say no. Out of all the evidence that was given to the care inquiry, to the best of my knowledge, not a single person has faced prosecution as a result of evidence given to the care inquiry. That is quite alarming. It might suggest that nothing indeed has changed since 2007, 2008, or pre-Operation Rectangle.
Yeah, well, I mean, the people who keep in touch with me suggest that, and would we really believe that after 23, 24 million pounds spent? To us who we're more familiar with it than a lot of people, but some of the evidence has been quite damning. And where has it taken us? We've got people who are going to be paid pittances really for what they suffered, and got people who really allowed it to happen, who should be ultimately held responsible in some form, and nothing.
Yeah.
How can that be good use of our money? You've got bailiffs, don't like to start on the bailiffs, but how can we have people still holding office when it's quite clear that they've used evidence that simply didn't exist to help justify them not prosecuting people? How can that be? Did the care inquiry not notice this?
You've asked me what evidence that doesn't exist.
Well, certainly good supervisory reports.
Yeah.
In the Mr. K case.
Yeah, that was.
Shouldn't that be front page news? Shouldn't that be a lead story on TV?
Yeah, that's where William Balash said that Mr. K, a suspected paedophile, had consistently good reports during his work at Hotel Garin, and it came out that those reports didn't exist. So yeah, you're right, and as to the best of my knowledge, that's never been reported on any of the mainstream media, or the old media as we now call it.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the things I'll be blogging about generally because, people must accept this isn't just happening in Jersey. This kind of doctoring of news and only putting out certain angles, it's happening everywhere, and it's more and more prevalent. But here in Jersey, you've got so many victims, and some of them who we've all met, and I just can't imagine how it feels to them to watch this type of stuff still going on. And plus, from a taxpayer's point of view, as I say, 23, 24 million pounds for what?
Again, like I blogged about it recently, you might have seen it. The survivors that I've spoken to said, "Look, we don't want the money, we want justice." But justice isn't, and they've come to sort of, the ones I've spoken to anyway, have come to realise that justice isn't on the table for them. It's not an option. That their abusers aren't going to face justice. Aren't going to face the Jersey courts. I don't, because Jersey courts and justice aren't the same thing. But and I do think it's a shame that they're going to get a couple of quid. We don't even know if they're going to have to face to sign a non-disclosure agreement. We don't know that yet. But
you talk about the Mr. K case. Now, I sat through and actually got to know one of his alleged victims quite well, and I have to say that what he told me, and a lot of that was repeated, of course, in evidence to the K inquiry, it still haunts me today, if I'm honest. What are the actual people themselves still going through? Justice, as you say, it's not on the table, is it? And in that case of the gentleman, he was all practically bullied and threatened not to give his evidence.
Yeah, that's right.
Isn't this something the K inquiry should have pursued?
Well, they've been back over, 2 years after their original report, and we're waiting on the findings of their next report. So hopefully you'll be able to keep an eye on that and possibly blog on that, alongside me. Of course, we've got a new States Assembly now. Since you and Shona were driven out of the island, what do you think of what do you think of the current States Assembly?
Well, on one way, it seems from what people say to me that it's perhaps not quite as divisive as it was. You'll remember well enough that certainly when I was in there, you knew the vote was going to go against you just because of who you are. You could come up with the best proposition and the most sensible proposition. Possibly there's some people in there more willing to listen, but from what I hear, people in there are still not willing to really stick their head above the parapets and risk what was done to myself, to Shona, to Stuart Sivray, famously, to Lenny Harper, Graham Power. We only have to see what's reported with Mike Higgins, suddenly he's a conspiracy theorist. Well, we've heard that before, haven't we?
That was a shameful, absolutely shameful diatribe from Len Norman, the Home Affairs Minister. I don't know if you've seen that, if you witnessed it, but to me it just showed that it's all gone back to pre-Operation Rectangle, that the Home Affairs Minister wasn't interested on hearing any evidence whatsoever, didn't ask Deputy Higgins for any evidence whatsoever, and blatantly, just blindly supported the police, and how dare you say anything nasty about the police, without even speaking to the alleged victim of the, it's just outrageous what went on there, and really did send Jersey back 20, 30 years.
I think it was really shocking, watching that on video, and yet where was anyone to back him up? That's another issue. It's a question I'd ask, and unfortunately you haven't got the really good, brave people in there now, the Bob Hills and the Daniel Wimbleys.
Well, credit Deputy Montfort-Tadier did stand.
He did.
He did stand Deputy Mike Higgins' ground, but he was the only one.
Exactly, and that's the thing, isn't it? You'd expect there to be half a dozen people, a dozen people saying, "Hang on, what's going on here, Minister? Answer the question, not just attack the messenger." And that really proves, doesn't it, that nothing really has changed. Yeah,
it was sickening to watch that. Absolutely sickening. I did write a blog about it. But so, have you any intentions on coming back and standing for election again? You can't, can you? Or can you? I don't know what the latest is.
Oh no, I'm still. It's quite illegal, but I am still banned. I think until 2023, 9 years. And yet, if I was someone who'd been bankrupt, even legally made bankrupt, because let's face it, we weren't legally made bankrupt. A person could come over from the UK and stand in Jersey tomorrow, but I can't. And yet, I've had a chuckle over the months and years when I saw that about 50% of your state's members all broke the law, which should have automatically caused them to lose their seats, and they're not prosecuted.
Yeah, it's the old Jersey justice system again, isn't it? Not to be.
Yeah, not in the public interest, I think was the term that was described to me.
Yes, many wrongdoing is hidden under that not in the public interest sketch, isn't it? So getting back onto your blog, because we want to promote your blog, obviously, and so you're going to be reporting on global things and local things and everything. But I remember your Bald Truth review, which was the Bald Truth reviews you did were very popular. You had a number of characters and leaks of the weeks and everything like that. Is it going to be much along those lines, or?
I would like to do something like that, perhaps once a month. I mean, being over here, I haven't really got the connections to be doing that every week. But yeah, definitely, there's nothing like a little bit of humour to spice up politics, is there? And I'm sure we might see some old familiar characters and maybe a few new ones.
I did hear you got a new character going to be brought in. Are we keeping it under wraps at the minute, or?
Yeah, I think we've got to give something to keep people interested enough to tune in. I mean, the initial blog will be a written text one, but I mean, I hope to do that within the month. Have a Bald Truth review up.
Yeah, we were hoping for the launch date of the 4th of August, so hopefully, is that still on schedule, or?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, if it doesn't happen, it'll only be a couple of days. It's just fitting it in with everything else that's going on. So it's been good to start writing the blog again. So yeah.
Yeah, because it's very quiet on the blog scene at the minute, so it'll be good. Maybe, you coming back might encourage others to come back. Maybe former Senator Stuart Sivray might get his blog up and running again, Rico Sauder.
Well, we had so many good blogs, didn't we? Like, say, with Bob Hills, we've still got Tom Grushy, thankfully, yourself, Rico Sauder. And those people are still needed from everything that I'm told about Jersey. Because let's face it, the establishment, the Jersey way, likes nothing better than the fact that everyone disappears.
Yeah, and because just getting back quickly to the bankruptcy thing and everything, because that was, if I remember, was in the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, the electoral observers, the independent electoral observers that came over here. That bankruptcy law was condemned by them, wasn't it? Saying it wasn't human right compliant, isn't it?
Yeah, well, to be honest, we'd already been told that, and since I've been away, I've looked into that even further. I mean, it is totally non-compliant. But then, as I think even Deputy Mark Higgins was told by a UK government official, that was probably put in place for the very purpose of keeping some people who they wouldn't want in the States, out of the States.
Used as a political tool. Basically, the justice system, as much of us believe, is basically used as a political tool to silence dissenters. Do you still believe along those lines?
Oh, it is. It's the favourite tool of oppression, isn't it? And, really it should be the only evidence needed that Jersey needs a separation of powers. I mean, I remember someone getting in touch with me a while back saying how the bailiff, our good friend Mr. Balash, was protesting that really separation of powers, getting rid of the bailiff, shouldn't be debated for another 10 years. Well, if that isn't interference in politics, I don't know what is. It's just crazy setup, and I'm told once again it's all been kicked into the long grass, this separation of powers issue. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that stands at the minute, what it's doing. I know, it was a recommendation of the care inquiry, so, if they're going against that already, what hope have we got? But
Well, this is the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, we've seen the Clothier review, etc., etc. What was the Carswell report? Recommendations. Nothing ever happens. And fewer people to actually voice that this needs to change. It's all happy days, isn't it, for the old boys? They just carry on.
Yeah, the old boys. I see we're over 15 minutes now, so we're going to have to start wrapping this up. So we can look out. So look out for your blog on hopefully the 4th of August. And anything else you want to tell me before we wrap up?
No, not really. Hopefully we'll speak again. I mean, I appreciate all the people who've tried to keep in touch. I've deliberately not been that contactable. As they say, living well is the best revenge. I mean, let's be honest, the Jersey establishment tried to destroy Shane and myself, but as you can see, they didn't achieve it.
So you're back?
I'm back.